All right, so in this video, I'm going to answer the question, how to improve client relationships to ensure more repeat and referral business. Hi, I'm Josh Stern with Keller Williams. I've built a couple of top selling teams here in Utah, and now I get to be a coach and advisor to my peers who want to grow their income. And this book right here that I'm holding is the MREA, and this, my friends, is the MREA playbook, and it's proven business plan that Boyd and I follow here at Keller Williams. Gary Keller once said to me, most agents fail to communicate early and often when they begin working with a new real estate client. So we're going to walk you through a few key touch points that are proven to increase repeat referral business and also to land some 5-star reviews.
Yeah, hey Coach, I'm so glad to have you with us today and appreciate all the wisdom you're pouring into us. And of course, I've had the opportunity to watch you grow your business from basically a brand new agent to one of the top teams in the state and probably nationally. And one of the things, this is an area that you just did really good at. I think once you learned how to do it, you just started to get a higher yield than a lot of agents. So this is a great lesson for today. And so again, so our agents can understand this better, you talk about this communicate early and often, that is wisdom you got from Gary Keller. What does that really mean for our agents?
Well, with like a new client relationship, we set up a series of phone calls before we even begin showing a home, for instance, right? So this is all about creating a system that's replicatable. Anybody can do it. So during the appointment, you're going to let your client know that in advance that they're going to hear from you at least once a week. And then let them know like what time that's going to be, what day it's going to be, and ask them if they'll be able to plan on taking that call. And then you put that time and day in your calendar, recurring each week until the property's closed, right? For me, Boyd, I chose Wednesdays to be my servicing days. I tried out Mondays, but you know real estate, man, it's freaking hectic. I always called them the next day and just said, hey, thank you so much for your trust and confidence. And I'd reassure them of my dedication to get, their home sold for the most amount of money in the time frame that they want. That's my number one priority. I always call before the photographer comes out just to make sure that they've completed the staging tips that you've provided, and that you might actually find that you need to provide again while you're on the phone with them. And then I call them after the photos are done and I let them know what a great job that they had done on staging the home and just prop them up. It's a lot of work to prep these homes for the market.
So you're reminding them to make the bed and put the toilet seat down and stuff like that?
And clean off all the flat surfaces, get rid of the clutter. You got it, man. We also have a call when we input the listing into the MLS system. We always call them right away and send them a copy, and we just ask them to review that information because we don't want to make any mistakes. Then we call them before our first open house and we let them know kind of what the expectations are, when we're going to be there, what we want them to do with the lights on, the blinds open, that kind of stuff, all right? And then we also let them know that we're going to call them as soon as the open house is done and we're just locking up so we can let them know how it went because these guys are anxious. This is the first open house. It's like the grand opening, they're anxious to hear.
Where's all the offers they want to know? And I think, what you're talking about to me is over communicating, setting an expectation and making sure the client doesn't have that doubt in their mind. Hey, what's Josh doing? What's my agent doing? Are they out doing things on my behalf? Great tips to keep that going. Now, the second part, you're going to talk about the communication.
Mm-hmm.
What does that even look like? I mean, I know in today's world there's text, there's emails, there's Facebook Messenger, there's smoke signals. Like, how is it best to communicate with these guys?
Well, of course, Boyd, I want to make sure that I tailor my communication to each of my clients' preferences, right? Okay. But as a rule of thumb, I want you to know this, and I say it to everybody. Emails and text messages are for delivering information. Okay. Phone calls and one-to-ones, that's communication.
Yeah, and I think that is something in our industry we've got to get better at and help our agents and the whole industry get better at that. And the real sales happens and the real communication and value that we provide is through one-on-one communication, not just sending a message. That's a great point. And now, after that happens, tell me a little bit about the regular follow-ups. Is there something else that you incorporate in here?
Yeah, the number one thought that comes to my mind is when Gary Keller was sitting in a room of his top agents. I was there, and he's like, you know what? Most agents run from their clients once a transaction is complete, and he actually recommends that we run to our clients, right? So we maintain regular contact with all of our past clients. We start them on a post-close plan. It is an actual system. You could plan like Popeyes with a gift for their new home, but we always have a 3-day, 7-day, 30-day, and 45-day phone call as part of our post-close system. It's not to just check in to see if they need any vendor referrals, any help with the house, but we like to giggle about the fact that they're probably living out of boxes. And we're also intentional during this period about asking them for a 5-star review and finding out if they've ran into anybody else who has home buying goals or home selling goals that they'd like to send our way. So we just have to have a system for delivering communication after that's actually closed.
Yeah, I really remember, it's clear in my mind when your team put a system in place to make sure you were asking for referrals during the transaction and immediately after the transaction. It was a big jump up in your business the following year. And those people want to do more business, they want to refer them. But I think a lot of times the agents just assume once they're through the stress of the transaction to leave them alone, which is sounds like the wrong approach.
With the system that we implemented, the RAS playbook system, we had more than 80% of our clients refer and review us after closing. So it's really critical that you have a system in place for that.
Awesome. And then are you using technology? How do you leverage technology on this stuff?
Good point, because in order to build a system, we really do have to use technology. So at Keller Williams, we use Command CRM.
Okay.
We apply what's called a 36 touch system through the CRM, and it's like 36 predetermined touches a year, which will happen every single year. It's a combination of phone calls, videos, text messages, emails, actual mailers, and then client events. And Boyd, you know that we're actually doing this right now with all of our agents inside of Keller Williams, because we believe so strongly in that 10-to-1 rate of return that you get from this piece of technology and that model and system that they talk about in pages 133 to 148.
And unfortunately, over 20 years, you and I have also learned that we have to really kind of help them get it set up, so they just have to execute it and make it as easy as possible for them to follow that program. So
absolutely.
And then I know part of what you always teach and what's hard for agents is we want to feel like in that communication we got to be providing value. So what kind of thoughts do you have on the communication? What kind of value are we providing?
Yeah, I mean, with Command, we've got neighborhood trends reports that are sent to our clients. I like to provide a lot of different types of investment tips, but I think most importantly, our focus here is to be the local economist, right? Knowledge is the currency that we spend to earn our clients' trust. And so it's important that we're giving them local information, because you know all the news networks are trying to blast out the negative nasties, about the national stuff. So I don't try to compete with those soundbite headlines. What I do is give them actual economic data here that's relevant in Utah. And we actually do this with our 36 Touch Do It With You program for our agents.
And how do you help our agents be more reliable and responsive on that? I mean, it's good to talk about this, get a program started, but I've seen the people that win at the highest level are the ones that can just be consistent and keep doing this. So any thoughts on how we can make that happen?
I would be very consistent. It builds trust, it builds loyalty. I think being prompt when you have urgent inquiries, but also being really careful about urgent things that are cleverly disguised as important, because agents like to take their eye off of their future business to service their existing clients, and sometimes they focus on things that appear to be urgent that are cleverly disguised as important. So the other thing, Boyd, is you've really got to understand your client's needs. You got to take time to understand each of your client's unique needs and preferences. And I like to do this up front with our first appointment. So what I'll do is I'll ask them what it is that we can do to make this experience a perfect 10. And then I'll literally write that answer down on paper and I'll read it back to them. And then I'm going to ask them, is there anything that we could do to put a plus on that 10? And I'll write down the answer and I'll read it back to them so they know I'm listening and paying attention, right? This is going to help you provide a much more tailored service for your clients.
That's some ninja selling skills. I mean, I think that's one of our challenges as agents is really listening to what our clients want and then, repeating it back to them to make sure, one, we're acknowledging that we heard them, but also making sure that we heard them correctly.
Yeah.
What else? It seems like you're big on education and just keeping people in the loop, informing them on the market and what you're up to.
Yeah, I haven't been on many hundreds and hundreds of listing appointments. The one thing I can tell you is almost everybody is going to say in their top 10 most important things, they're going to say communication. What I've learned about communication is it's our job to help our clients make informed decisions by educating them about the buying and selling process up front. So they're empowered clients. They feel more satisfied. They're going to be more likely to recommend you. The one thing I won't do is I will not overpromise and underdeliver. Right? But I do like to keep my clients out in front of here's what's going to happen next. So I don't receive those phone calls. I had kind of a rule of thumb, Boyd, when I was in the business every day. That is, if my client called me, it means I didn't do my job. And so I had to stay out in front of things so my clients knew what to expect and when to expect it. Right?
Yeah, it's easier to manage too. And now, Josh, kind of as we wrap up, we're so committed in really helping our agents create some certainty in 25. And we want 25 to be their best year ever, hopefully, or in a long time, and certainly do more business than they did last year. What's next on this? How do you help our agents engage and just go do this? I mean, we've all heard these things. Mm-hmm. We got to get them into action. What's the next step here?
Well, I would say if you like the plan and some of the things that we're talking about, the next step I would say is to come to one of our in-person training events where we actually discuss the implementations and the specifics on those systems from the MREA book and then also from our MREA models and playbooks. So you talk about certainty. These are models and systems. So you can call me, you can email me. Email is headcoach@kwutahcoach.com. You can call me at 801-252-5226. And I will make sure to let you know, here's our entire training calendar, and we'll try to find the right course for you. Sound good?
Yeah, love it. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks for being on.